Welcome gamers to another edition of Gamer Zone, where we play games, talk games, and share with you the latest in gaming. With me, Yume Suryani. May the Force be with you this month, as May is a very significant day for all Star Wars fans worldwide, as this month holds the most significant date in the space opera franchise, as fans celebrated the 4th of May as Star Wars Day, coining it May the 4th. As in May, the Force be with you, and as most fans know, and some new information just in case you did not know. The original Star Wars premiered on May 25th in 1977, 25 years ago, and also on the 14th of May was the birthday of the creator of the Star Wars franchise, George Lucas. We'd like to wish you a happy belated birthday, Mr. Lucas, and thank you for introducing us to the Force. With that, this week Gamer Zone will bring you a list of specially crafted lists of Star Wars games that have been developed over the years. But as always, before we jump into the list, we would like to bring you the gaming news. If you are a space adventure fan and loves exploring the unknown and solving mysteries, this is the game for you. Slated for release in 2023, Kinetic Strix released an early game trailer in its Steam game page, and what we can say, it is very beautifully done in terms of visuals representation, and with the promise of a story-driven game along with mystery solving, we simply can't wait for the 2023 release. With the new upcoming Lord of the Rings series produced by Amazon Prime, a game under the Lord of the Rings franchise will also be released this year. Lord of the Rings Gollum is an upcoming action-adventure game developed by Daedalic Entertainment and is based on Gollum and will follow his story before the events of the Lord of the Rings. The game is set to be released for PC, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox consoles sometimes in late 2022. Are you a fan of Lovecraft? Do you find the occult and bizarre world that Lovecraft created is very interesting? Well, this is the game for you, as Lovecraft's Untold Stories is finally released on Steam. After a delay of 1 year, when it was initially supposed to be released, which was in October 2021, the game is a continuation of the action RPG with rogue-like elements based on H.P. Lovecraft's mythos, which features a dark comic graphic style, an advanced crafting system to create equipment and 6 playable characters, and for the first time, an online cooperative mode. That's it for our weekly gaming news, and so we'll move on to our weekly list. Before we head into the new generation of gaming, let's go back in time, back to the 80s, before home gaming console was a social norm. Back then, we had to go to an arcade to play games. Released in 1983, Star Wars, the arcade game, featured vector graphics that looked sharp and bright next to the standard arcade games of the time. And you can feel like you are controlling the space fighter. The game is set as a space shooter, and the story is set during the assault of the Death Star, based on the original film. The game also featured synthesized voices to emulate the actors of the film. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a racing video game that features the pod racing sequence that was in Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. Although this was never shown in any other canon other than this game. Developed in 1999, the game features all the racer and race course on Tatooine that was in the movie itself. With some additional new courses and some new planets, it can be played in single-player modes, which features tournament and also multiplayer. The format varies by different platform it is in. In 2004, in a game console far back called PS2, Battlefront was released, and it was the best game about Star Wars to play. And recently, in 2015, EA Games rebooted the franchise, and we are presented with this masterpiece of a game, along with a sequel. Star Wars Battlefront is an action game played from either a first-person or a third-person view. And similar to previous games, the players first control a unit of the team, and then, as they find specific token, the players get to control heroes and fight the opposing team as the titular main character in the franchise. Now here is a game that wanders off from the original universe and goes into its expanded universe. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, abbreviated as KOTOR, is a role-playing game developed by BioWare and published by LucasArts, released in 2003. The story of the Old Republic takes place 4,000 years before the formation of the Galactic Empire, and the player character, a Jedi, must venture to different planets in the galaxy to defeat a Sith. The players get to choose from 3 different classes that you can customize during the start of the game and engage in round-based combat against enemies. Through interaction with other characters and making plot decisions, player can earn light side and dark side points, an alignment system that will determine the player's side of the Force. Star Wars Force Unleashed is an action-adventure game developed by LucasArts and released in 2008. The project bridges the first 2 Star Wars trilogies, acting as an origin story for the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Civil War. The game introduces a new protagonist codenamed Starkiller, a powerful Force user trained as Darth Vader's secret apprentice, who is tasked with hunting down the Jedi survivors of the Great Jedi Purge while trying to keep his existence a secret. This game also spawned a sequel. Developed by Respawn Entertainment, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, released in 2019. The story is set in the Star Wars universe 5 years after Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and follows Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis, who becomes a target of the Galactic Empire and is hunted throughout the galaxy by the Imperial Inquisition while attempting to complete his training, reconcile with his troubled past, and rebuild the fallen Jedi Order. The game is played from a third-person perspective, and it adopts the Metroidvania style of exploration and progression. Players control former Jedi Padawan and have access to a lightsaber as well as the Force. And as always, here are some other games that we also love, but do not have time to talk about.
Only you can face Vader.
You were wise to heed my training. But it won't save you.
Life you've been in a cage, Padawan. When you're ready, break free.
And that's all for our weekly listing. Stay tuned as we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, gamers, to Gamer Zone, and this week on our segments of recommended games, we are recommending Outward. Is an open-world fantasy role-playing game developed by Quebecois Studio 9 Dots and published by Deep Silver. The game can be played in multiplayer both online and or locally through split screen. The game focuses on survival as well as the concept of the player being a commoner rather than a hero, and features several survival game aspects. And on top of the traditional gameplay of action role-playing games, Outwards includes several survival aspects such as having to carefully watch one's warmth, hunger, fatigue, and thirst. It's also possible for the player to suffer cold, diseases, or indigestion. Losing all of one's health in battle can lead to a variety of consequences. And for the upcoming games, Diablo Immortal is an upcoming free-to-play video game in the Diablo series designed primarily for mobile devices. The massively multiplayer online action role-playing game takes place between the events of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, developed by Blizzard Entertainment. It was announced in late 2018 and is planned for release on Android, iOS, and PC sometime June 2022. And that's it, gamers. That's it for this week's update. Don't forget to tune in to our show again next week. Same time, same place. Only on Gamer Zone. Eat, sleep, game, repeat. See ya!
I do.
Eh, eh.